Very good morning to you. Thank you so very much for joining us here on Global Television, and we're delighted to welcome you once again to Global Morning. We're live in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. Well, I refuse to be intimidated. I refuse to wish I had something else on. But we also want to appreciate those who were creative, innovative, very resourceful enough to bring color and class, as always, to the program this morning. I'm trying not to mention her name, but can I help it? Jumairekia Manson.
Oh my God! You called all my names. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I actually want to drag you. I want to make you trend. I want to make you go viral. All for free.
All for free.
Right.
Good morning, Uyi and good morning to each and every one of you out there. It's a beautiful Wednesday, and of course, it's in broadcast in the broadcast world, Wednesday is just you tone it down a bit.
Right,
you could be corporate and casual at the same time, but you have to still maintain that corporateness. So that's why I'm
as they said, the banking sector, they call it business casual.
Business casual,
Right.
So that's what it is. But it's okay, so you've done it to me before.
I hope I don't take off my tie in the middle of the program this morning, because you look gorgeous, Joe. Most appreciated.
Thank you so much,
Great. We actually hope our politics was doing as good as you, but turns out that has not been the case.
No,
really.
It hasn't.
And what can we say? They say Nigeria is still evolving, including our politics
yes,
and
we are. Yes, we
kind
are.
of leadership. And we do hope it gets better beyond 2027.
Yes.
Incidentally, most of the political parties now are conducting their primaries.
Yes, they are.
Interestingly, we hear former President Goodluck Jonathan has purchased the presidential form of the People's Democratic Party.
Exactly.
I've heard people share their thoughts, even coming to work this morning, listening to Radio Beats. Everybody is speaking up about the issue, what they think about it, whether or not the man should have even thought about it.
Was the right idea.
That's the point. But again, he's a Nigerian, and of course, he has the right to stand for election if he wants to.
As long as he's eligible to do so.
Now, that is the concern. Eligibility, of course, the case is in court.
Yes,
and we
it
understand
is.
the
Yes, it is.
judgment will be delivered on the 26th of this month, I think. But beyond all of that, the former president is one who has been immensely loved. In fact, I say overwhelmingly loved by people across board.
Yes.
Of course, beyond 2015, we saw what has happened in terms of how much he has been able to, as it were, have a life outside of politics.
True.
Even though he's still an influential figure.
Yes, he is.
All right, we're seeing him move beyond political lines, beyond PDP or whatever party it is. We've seen the interaction that his wife, the former First Lady, had with the incumbent First Lady the other time. It was like family reuniting and things like that. And again, that gets interesting because she did say that, look, we are not standing for election.
So what happened?
We are going to support the incumbent president, Bola Tinubu, and his wife, because they are family. They stood with us when we had our dark times politically and things like that. But again, politicians and politics, you can never fully understand them.
You can never. And that is why I always hammer on the fact that individuals, especially youths who are used as a tool when it comes to political affairs, please do not get carried away, because these individuals know themselves. They actually know what they are doing. So you're just a tool in their hands. So one has to really be very, very careful. With politicians, they're unpredictable, I always say. You cannot predict a politician except if he's true to his word. And there are very few, I will tell you, that are very true to their words. If it's white, it's white. If it's green, it's green. If it's red, it's red. Very few. But at the same time, like we say, it's politics. And it's all in favor of, it has to be either way, either for the benefit of themselves or for the benefit of Nigerians, or in both Nigerians and of course Nigeria. So let's just see what this brings. Like we said, a lot is going to unfold. We said it before, and a lot of individuals are coming out to show interest, and you'll be shocked and wondering, where is this particular individual coming from? What changed? What happened? I thought you just want to sit back and watch and give advice. Well, if it's a good idea, I'm entitled to my own opinion. I no comment when it comes to that. Like you said, you are entitled. It is your right. You can come out and say, okay, fine, I want to become the presidential candidate for 2027. As long as you're eligible, it's fine. But at the same time, good idea, not so sure.
Right. This is still very much, if you like, premature in terms of reaching a conclusion right now, because it appears the space is still very much wide open, and so many other players are going to jump in. Of course, you can't defect to go wrong on any platform right now.
No,
the only thing you can do is you can defect by way of membership.
Yes, you can.
But you can't defect as a candidate.
No, it closed on the 10th.
Right.
So.
But then the APC is also one of concern because of what we are seeing regarding the primaries conducted in the party recently.
Oh, yes.
I mentioned to one of our guests yesterday, Edo, for example, Edo Senatorial District, Edo South, that is, all right, is a bit of, if you like, in contention right now because of the political heavyweights that want that ticket. If you come to Delta, for example, we saw what happened.
Yes.
Delta North, we saw how that Ned Nwoko, the current senator, lost the former governor, Ifeanyi Okowa.
Yes.
Incidentally, from what we saw from the news we've heard and read, it was only 3 persons that voted for Senator Nwoko. And some persons, particularly those who are on the side of former Governor Okowa, say that, well, while Okowa and his people were busy campaigning, galvanizing support, and looking for those to throw their weight behind them, Senator Nwoko was busy enjoying himself in Abuja.
Yes.
Of course, those could be political talks.
Yes.
But in all of it, it was so much of a tilt in terms of the outcome. Of course, if you go to Owerri, Imo, for example, yes, we saw what Opozodima did there as against Rochas Okorocha. Both of them, they share a lot in common from the same senatorial district.
Yes.
One person had been governor before. Both of them have been senators.
Yes.
So there's a lot in common. Both of them are members of the same party, but then one man has to win. You can't have 2 senators in one district.
No, and the truth is, in all of this, let's tilt to Senator Ned Nwoko. A lot of it, there are speculations that the reason why he lost was because
they divorced or separated.
You heard that
because
part.
the lady said that it was her and
her influence
who made him win in the first instance.
Are you surprised? Come on, she's an actress. She's loved by so many people, and of course, once you're married to someone that compliments you, even if you're not really,
she may not have the bank account, the money bag, but she has the clout.
She has the clout, and that's the thing. And you have followers, and that's the thing. You might not have so much money, but as long as you have the individual, that is power.
You can galvanize support.
You can galvanize support, and the thing is that played a major role because it was glaring. You saw how she went all out during the campaign. Yes, exactly. She went all out, and people were like, "Okay, because it's you. You can actually, you might not truly like someone, but because an individual who you have respect for and you like and you actually love is behind this, putting all the weight on this person, you have no other choice just to follow suit and part, and that played a major part, and now we can all see that's the thing. Okay,
you're talking. The only thing playing in my head is put your house in order. Put your house in order. I'm speaking to Ned Nwoko.
It's very important. Please put your house in order. And then talking about Owerri now, talking about
former Governor Rochas Okorocha,
and of course
the incumbent
Hope Uzodinma. It only shows, the thing is, your works will actually speak for you. Ultimately. These are fantastic individuals, I won't say. These individuals have worked. We know how all out Rochas Okorocha goes up when it comes to charitable deeds, all he does.
For several decades.
For several decades, like we've seen all of that. And then we see the likes of Hope Uzodinma who has added life, hope to individuals in that particular state, who have helped individuals who are poor, giving them a source of livelihood. We have seen all of that. So it's both individuals are fantastic, but the truth is your works and the lives in which you have touched, made impact and difference will actually speak for you when it comes. Nigerians are awake now. We now know that it has to be for our benefit. If you're going in there, it has to be because you have us at heart and you understand the plight in which we are going through. We won't just put any other person. I think we've gone past that now. People are now awoke and awake, and they know what's good for them.
Of course, they know what's good for them. And Nigerians are, by the day, taking responsibility for the kind of leadership they want to see. And 2027 is just proving that once again.
Yes, it is.
All right, we're taking a break. The rest of the program will continue shortly. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, it's Global Morning on Global Television. And the segment that I love so much, don't worry, I'm not ashamed to say it. It's fine. Okay.
We know you now.
Yes. Why did you say it now? Uyi, please, come on. So, of course, with all this talks about politics and issues, it's making me hungry. So, the segment Taste and Texture, it's the right time to play this particular segment. And yes, I will not let the cat out of the bag. You have to pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's see what Taste and Texture brings to us today.
Everyone, and welcome to Taste and Texture. This is Saadatu Garba, your creative chef. In today's episode of the program, we'll be making yam and scrambled eggs. Yam and egg is the ultimate breakfast consumed in Nigerian homes. The delicious richness of yam pairs nicely with the egg and other ingredients that you'd love to make this over and over again. Ingredients: yam, 4 eggs, chopped onions, chopped fresh tomatoes, chopped peppers, seasoning cubes, salt, vegetable oil, and water. To prepare, peel the yam and cut into desired sizes. Add your peeled yam into a pot. Add salt and water and cover to boil. For the scrambled eggs, dice your onions, tomatoes, and peppers into desired sizes and add into a bowl. Break 4 eggs into a different bowl and add salt. Add some oil in a pan and heat up. Fry the onions for a bit and add pepper and tomato mix. Fry the mixture for 3 to 5 minutes while stirring gently. Add some seasoning cubes for taste and stir again. Add your eggs to the fried mixture and allow to fry for 3 to 5 minutes while stirring gently. Allow the oil to evaporate and turn down the heat. There you have it, your yam and scrambled eggs is ready. That's a wrap on today's episode of Taste and Texture. I hope you enjoyed these culinary demonstrations and trust you will try this recipe at home. Be sure to join me again for yet another taste-friendly delicacy. I am Saadatu Garba, your creative chef, saying thank you for watching.
All right, you're welcome back. Look, I'm laughing behind the scene because we said something very funny. You had B.
Well, I called you what you are.
Very funny, Uyi. All right. Well, that was, of course, delicious yam and eggs. Hope you try it out. Something you should. Yam and egg is fantastic. It's delicious. I like the fact that she added a little bit of salt and sugar in the yam. Mm-hmm. You know, it takes it to a whole new level. And of course, when it's soft,
sugar reminds me of a cousin.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that segment of Taste and Texture, yam and eggs. Hope you're going to try it out. Up next, let's get inspired with Ramsey Enoch Agbo with Heart to Heart Inspirational. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to another moment of Heart to Heart Inspirational. Let's talk heart to heart a little bit because a lot of people have not been able to bounce back after the last time they failed. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Welcome to Heart Inspirationals. Failure is a feedback and not a funeral. I want to say that again because of people who failed. Some people fell and they remain on the ground. They never got up again because of what they feel people around them are going to say. But then failure is a feedback. And that's why some people will tell you all the time that whatever happens, all right, there is a lecture from every lesson. Whatever happens to you in life, there is something that you are meant to learn from it, either positively or negative thing that you need to take cognizance of and be watchful as you move on the journey of life. So I just want to tell you today that failure is a feedback and not a funeral. What kind of feedback did did you get from that last failure? Have you even tried anything at all? Have you experienced failure before? If you've not experienced failure before, it means you need to try harder. Because on this journey of destiny, people who are successful today are people who have failed a number of times, and they got up on their feet, learned from their mistake, and their mistake became a stepping stone for them. And of course, they are where they are today. Why? Because they never allow that failure to become a funeral to their dream. What am I emphasizing? As a matter of fact, let's normalize something today, all right? Let's normalize something today. A failure, you've heard about it all the time. Okay, this person is a failure, that person is a failure. You know, people assess their counterparts, their neighbors, their brothers, their colleagues differently with different perspectives. Some persons already have been tagged as failure, and that has been affecting a lot of people. But then, have you accepted that you are a failure? That somebody told you are a failure does not make you a failure until you accept that you are a failure. All right, not because it feels good, yeah, but because it is necessary. Sometimes, you know, it's risk. It's risk. If you have taken a risk before, and of course, it didn't go well the way you think it was going to go, and you failed, it doesn't mean that is a funeral. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try it again. I was speaking with someone a few days ago, yeah, and we're talking about a particular business, and the young man told me, now I am successful. But then, during my wilderness experience, when I was in the workshop, nobody knew anything about me. When I was failing over and over and over again, I lost money several times. I had to stay indoors and think of the next thing to do. He failed severally until he said, no, I am not going to allow this failure become a funeral. My dream is not going to be cut short by this failure. And he stood on his ground. Consistency. I must always emphasize consistency anytime I come up to speak to anyone on Heart to Heart, because it is very important. If you want to succeed in life, then consistency and discipline is very important. But the bottom line is this: nobody ever succeeds without first stumbling. Yes. You stumble, then you stand again. Even every little child, before a child starts walking, you stand them up, you see them, they walk a little bit, they fall. They walk a little bit, they fall until their leg gets stabled on the ground. All right? And you see them walking firmly. Then before you know it, they start running. The same thing is applicable to life. So failure, as a matter of fact, is not proof that you can't. All right, it's not a proof that you can't do it. It's proof that you tried. It's a proof that you tried. When you fail, it means you tried and you failed. It doesn't mean that's the end. It reveals what doesn't work and refine what eventually would work later. That's what failure does. Anytime you fail, you know that, yes, this one does not work. Let me try the other one. It gives you a focus. It makes you know that, yes, if I go this way, I'm going to fail again. So I need to do something else. It's only a fool that do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. If you are doing one thing the same way all the time, you get the same result. You need to apply technicality, strategy, discipline, excellence every time. Whatever you do, let that touch of excellence be in your head. All right? So that when you fail in one thing, you try doing it the other way. But then don't allow that first, second, third, fourth failure be your funeral. Let your dream and your vision and your talent not be buried because you failed. Because that failure is trying to refine you. It's trying to build something in you. What do you have to do? I want you to know that failure, what it does is that it reveals what doesn't work and refines what eventually will work. But you need to have this mentality. Every setback is information. If you are willing to learn, yes, that's what it means. Every setback that you've had in the past is an information. Because there is something you need to learn from every setback, from every failure. Everyone throwing stones at you right now is because they know you are going somewhere. A lot of, see, let me tell you the truth. We have a lot of friendly enemies these days. Some people are smiling with you, but then they are not interested in your success. What they say behind you, if you hear it, hey, but then that shouldn't deter you. That shouldn't deter you because you have a destination. So every setback is information if you are willing to learn, because most people don't fail because they are incapable. That you failed, it's not because you are incapable, but because you are going somewhere, because you are dogged, because you are rugged, because you are determined, because you are focused, because you have a dream, you have a vision, something you are pursuing and something you want to get. You have a target. So when people like that fail, they fail because they don't stop. But if you stop anytime soon, it means that failure has gotten to you. Let me give you an instance, an illustration. For instance, a GPS recalculates when you miss a turn. It doesn't shut down. All right? Failure, in other words, simply means it's time to adjust. Anytime you fail, the message is, no, I need to adjust. This principle, this procedure, this formula is not working. I need to adjust. There is something I need to do so that I don't fail again. That's what it means. Anytime you fail, there is a message. It is telling you it is time to adjust the procedure. It is time to re-strategize. That's what it means. All right, so you don't need to abandon your journey because you failed. There is a practical mindset shift that you need to have, and this is it. Number one, stop attaching shame to failure. Yes, stop attaching shame to failure. Some people, when they fail, they feel shy. Oh no, I'm not going to get on that stage again. They will laugh at me. No, I'm not going to do that business again. People will laugh at me. People will mock me. The same people will celebrate and want to identify with you if you are a success. So there should be a mindset and a mind shift for you. Extra lessons. Instead of self-criticism, stop criticizing yourself because you failed. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop comparing yourself to other people with other people because you failed. That you failed. Failure is not a funeral. Stop burying yourself in shame and criticism. Try again. Make it better. Make it wiser. Make it stronger. That's what it means. All right? Failure is tuition paid for future success. That is a quote that I'm bringing to you now. Failure, I said, is what? Is tuition paid for future success. But if you don't pay, if you go to school now, all right, 100 level, you need to pay a tuition in 100 level. You get to 200, you pay another tuition before you can get to 300 level. In every of this level, there are tuitions to pay. If you want to change levels in life, don't be scared of failure. If you are scared of failure, you will never try anything good. So what you have to do? Keep pushing. Don't bury your dream because of one mistake that you made. I'll keep saying this. Learn, rise, and move forward. Don't worry about what people are saying. Don't worry about the situation around you. Don't think, oh, I have failed. I don't need to try it again. Keep trying. Change the strategy. Become wiser. Failure make you wiser. Because you walk through this way and you fail, you apply this strategy, this technique, this principle, this formula, and you failed. You will now need to re-strategize. Use another formula. All right? Until you get to your success. Until you get to what you want to achieve in life. All right? So you need to know that anytime you fail, it's a signal that you need to turn. You need to do something again. You need to re-strategize. You need to improvise. Come up with something new. As a matter of fact, failure is not the best option for you. So what you have to do? Try as much as possible. Right, to be sincere in everything that you do. Because if you want to please people, it will be disastrous. You don't need to please anyone, all right? You don't need to please anyone. It is when you're thinking about pleasing people that When you stumble, you say, oh, I've disappointed this person. I've disappointed even people who really love you, who want you to be successful. By the time you fail, instead of them condemning you, they will come and encourage you to do better. And that's the reason you need mentors. That's the reason you need people to talk to per time. All right? You need to talk to people. See, if you are embarking on a project, I emphasize mentorship all the time. I was speaking with a friend a few days ago, and I told the person, if I want to do this thing you're doing now, it is going to be express for me. It's going to be easier. I may have hitches. There might be some times where you have losses or maybe failure at some point, but then you have people to ask questions. I have someone to ask questions. Hey, I got hooked here. What do I do? Even the disaster is not going to be as disastrous as it would have been if you never have anyone to guide you on this journey of destiny. You really need people, okay? Because as your association determine your acceleration in life, okay? And your friends, you need to be careful with the kind of friends you have. If you have a bad friend, it is disaster. If you have a good friend, it means you have a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to stand on and be tall so that you can get to that success that you are running after, that you are pursuing. Yes, congratulations, everyone. You are a success going somewhere to happen. Don't allow anything stop you on the way. Not failure, not criticism. Don't bury yourself because you failed. Failure is not funeral. Bye-bye for now and have a beautiful day.
Port delays. And of course, the next says Arsenal win English Premier League after Man City draw at Bournemouth. Oh, fantastic! Because I'm an Arsenal fan.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I saw what your guys did all over the city
Yes,
yesterday.
yes, you did. Yes. Because that's the thing.
Right.
The God has elevated Arsenal team.
If Arsenal can come out of the woods, nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. All right. Easy Youth Day to hold May 30th in Abuja. Now below the nameplate, it says 2027 elections. That's the star story. Elumelu, NUJ, FCT urge media to combat disinformation, defend democracy. And there's a short read here that says Nigeria's leading etiquette specialist, Lady Eti, unveils etiquette adventure at National Caregiver Summit 2026. Basically, those are all the major headlines on the Razor News. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the major issues making rounds. Next is the Daily Monitor. Over to you, Uyi.
All right, so let's take a look at that for you. Real quick, Daily Monitor here. Well, it says just above the nameplate has a picture former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, retired. It reads, Nigeria will overcome its current challenges, remain united. Nigeria's shared civic legacy. That is attributed to President Bola Tinubu. Details on page 4. Refinery listing will democratize Africa's industrial prosperity. Dangote. On page 2, we understand that listing, the IPO, initial public offer, is going for $50 billion US. Next is EFCC arrests convicted fugitive ex-power minister Saleh Maman. Did I hear you say finally?
Finally.
Right. And then next, we have one here. Again on page 4, Jonathan emerges Turaki-led PDP sole presidential aspirant, granted screening waiver. This is at the very heart of political controversy at this point in time, right? But then we move to the star headline with the kicker: insecurity. No terrorist base in Southwest. That's according to the Defense Headquarters. The two riders tell us, says ongoing operations targeted at rescuing abducted victims, neutralizing criminal elements. Nigeria, U.S. joint strikes kill 175 ISIS fighters, several top commanders in days. Oyo schools kidnap. Ogbomoso teachers protest, shot schools. Again, we have two riders. We have 6 suspects in custody. They are assisting investigation. Oyo Police Public Relations Officer is the one speaking there. Nigerian Baptist Seminary dispels rumor of another planned attack on Ogbomoso. All of this will have to come to an end real soon. Otherwise, we will not be taken very seriously as a country.
Yes.
Right, so those are your headlines from the Daily Monitor this morning. Do read up details as we turn to the Vanguard.
All right, the Vanguard newspaper above the nameplate, it says Dangote activates Olokola deep seaport plan, engages host communities, and that read is on page 20. On page 9 on the Vanguard, it says Nigeria will not fall, and that's from former head of state Yakubu Gowon, and it says leaderships tested in times of crisis, and that's Jonathan. And on page 38, it says Kwara Governor Paul Abdul Razak names preferred successor. Okay. And on page 8, it says 2027, Jonathan gets PDP waiver, emerges Turaki camp's sole presidential candidate. And a lot is happening in the People's Democratic Party, a lot of Turaki-led fraction, and of course, Iriki-led fraction. We've not nipped that in the bud yet. What is going on, please?
Incidentally, both of them are in the market selling forms. Well, they say that the Turaki group says the last court judgment favors it. Wike says no. As far as that judgment goes, we are the legitimate, recognized, legal, bona fide leadership of the PDP. But again, it's just a clear sign that the, as it were, conflict within the PDP has not abated.
No, it hasn't at all. But we hope they nip that in the bud soon, because 2027 is just around the corner.
Right.
And they need to unite, basically. But you know, the FCT minister has made it clear. He said his full weight of support is with the president. With the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So what's all this all about with the presidential candidates of PDP? That's President Goodluck Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan coming on board. Let's just see what this brings. I'm sure. I hope it's not going. No comment.
Just keep your PVC handy.
Keep my PVC handy, of course. And of course, moving on now, it says here, the star story on the Vanguard, and that read is on page 37. It says, Oyo five pupils, teachers still missing in Oyo police, and then IGP deploys additional detectives. We're deploying resources to secure the return of victims. DHQ, that's from DHQ. It's a national disgrace, and that's from PFN. Atiku to Tinubu. Front perpetrators, and I think that's the right move to go. You should equip these local policing, like we said, in order for them to at least the more hands, the
Right, the
merrier.
better, yeah.
Basically. And on page 38, it says FG suspends planned closure of Eco Bridge. And on page 7, it says 33 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrests convicted ex-minister Maman. And of course, my favorite part is the Mr. and Mrs. You have to go read that up. And it says ABC Primary, 70 NAS members lose return tickets. And that's on page 5. And on page 40, it says they told Tinubu I planned to kill him. Become president after our inauguration. And that's from the vice president, Kashim Shettima. And if you're wondering what that is all about, you have to flip over to page 40. I'm well abreast with the major issues making rounds. And of course, at the side of the vanguard, we have the Oyo School abducted teachers and of course pupils, their names listed out there. It's just unfortunate that we're still going back and forth with this issue.
Right.
And it's very sad.
It is.
It's very sad. Basically, back in the day, we'll say it's the North. They're the ones that are battling with this issue of insurgency, terrorist groups, banditry. Now it's, look at it.
All of us.
All of us. So all hands must be on deck to nip this particular evil
Right.
nip it in the bud. It's just unfortunate, but hopefully the needful is done and these perpetrators will face the full wrath of the law. Next paper, Uyi, over to you, please.
All right, let's take a look at the punch for you. Top right corner first. Picture of former President Goodluck Jonathan featured there, evidently. Says Turaki-led PDP clears Jonathan for 2027 race. As expected, that story is syndicated across newspapers today. Danjuma saved Gowon's Abuja land from El Rufai Kuka. We had to talk about that again. How EFCC tracked ex-minister Maman to Kaduna. I thought they were going to say somewhere outside of the country. It says Kaduna. Right, I just sent the name masts with a picture of Big One APC primaries. Governorship aspirant Sean consensus deal in 10 states. Why did that happen? Well, 3 riders with that headline. Over 30 governorship aspirants set for primaries in 10 states. Plateau aspirant who denies stepping down for Mufwang. Oboribori Yusuf Mba, 8 other governors emerge as consensus candidates. Abdulrazak names Seriki as successor. Danladi steps down as 12 others brace for primaries. On the left corner of the paper, front page still, federal government misses first quarter tax target by 2.2 trillion naira. That's some very significant shortfall there. But for insights, you can read on page 9. As well. Aspirants fought APC senatorial primaries in Ekiti. Others. 40 Southwest local governments under terror threat. That's according to Gani Adams. 40 Southwest local governments. That's a lot of space being under threat by terrorists. Dangote unveils plan for multi-billion-dollar Olokola seaport. You can find those details on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Those are your headlines from the Punch. Please follow up for details as we take a look at the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, the Nigerian Tribune, and of course, above the nameplate on page 16, it reads, EFCC arrests convicted ex-power minister Saleh Maman in Kaduna. And of course, it has been making other headlines in various newspapers. And on page 6, it says, relief to airline operators as Dangote refinery reduces jet fuel to 1,650 naira. Okay, someone say thank God. And back page here says, of course, my favorite part on this paper is my best. Arsenal wins English Premier League after 22 years. I hope our sports corresponding team, of course, the presenters, and so will hammer on this.
That was a lifetime to wait to clinch the trophy.
No, it's very important. I need them to say it every day.
Even if it takes a lifetime.
Even if it takes a lifetime, please. It's very important because we've had enough. We've been bashed on this issue. Arsenal, they've said a lot of things about us. You wear your Arsenal t-shirt at all, like, are you wearing that?
Right.
It's so painful.
But now, today, you guys have been vindicated.
God, why didn't I wear my Arsenal t-shirt this morning?
Yeah, well, after the show, why not?
Of course. All right, now below the nameplate here, and this is the Star story, says no terrorist base in Southwest, and that's from Defense Headquarters. Intensified search for abducted pupils in Oyo. IGP deploys more detectives in community. Traditional rulers in Ogbomosho land demand military base. 6 suspects in police net. Atiku demands rescue of victims. NLC, PFN condemn attack. Very sad there. And on page 4, it says Turaki-led PDP declares Jonathan sole presidential candidate, grants him screening waiver. And on page 13, it says NCAA issues Ebola alert, directs enhanced surveillance at airport. Please, let's not deal with this again. God, please. And on the health segment, on page 17, it says learning languages may keep the brain young. And that's from study. So learning, what language are we talking about? Is it Chinese or is it our own language like the Hausa?
I'm sure you can start from the home front.
From the home front, right?
The local language works.
Nagode. Exactly. All right. So let's okay, we heard that. Well, that's from study. Now, below the foot of the Nigerian Tribune, it says Nigeria must not fall. Gowon tells Atiku, other politicians. And here it says President IBB, Jonathan, others hail Gowon at autobiography launch. All right, now that reads on page 3 on the Nigerian Tribune. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with these major issues making rounds to avoid fake news. Next is The Nation.
Then we'll start from the top right corner of it, above the name mast. EFCC operatives arrest fugitive ex-minister Mamman in Kaduna. Jetty's tank farm owners back Dangote refinery. Abdulrazak endorses Seriki as successor, choice jolts aspirants. Kekemeke Salisu, others speak APC Senate tickets. And further down below the nameplate, I never wanted to be head of state, says Gowon in memoir. Tinubu, IBB, Abdulsalami Jonathan, Danjuma, Dangote, Anna, ex-leader. Yes, it was a big day yesterday. Tax leakage rocks states, government agencies. Teachers adopts Oyebamji, that's the incumbent governor of Ekiti State, who is standing for a re-election in the off-cycle governorship election in that state. And then we have the big one that reads, Amechi, I didn't buy form to be Atiku's running mate. That's quite categorical. Has 2 headlines, 2 writers with it. Zoning, very necessary. Obi faces Egu-led NDC screening panel. And then, left side of the paper, front page, killed ISIS terrorists, now 175, says DHQ. That looks like some very significant milestone there. Right, at the bottom of it, the very foot says APC members throng wards to elect candidates for House of Assembly on page 5 of the Nation newspaper today. The details are all yours for keeps. Please look at them. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper now.
All right, now the Guardian newspaper, below the nameplate of the Guardian, it says here on page 3, 2027, PDP awards Jonathan automatic presidential ticket. And on page 3 again, it says here, Tinubu, Jonathan hail Gowon's no victor, no vanquish legacy, others. And on page 3, it says FG worries over 15 million out-of-school children. And here, the Star story reads, Oyo attack, abductions heighten, regional security agitations, and that's on page 6. And on page 4, it says, Dambazao says non-state actors in Sahel possesses 14 million firearms, and that's on page 4. And on page 4 again, it says Ebola, WHO raises the alarm as death toll hits 131, and that is alarming. And it says here, EFCC arrests convicted ex-power minister after 75 years jail sentence, and that read is on page 4 also. And it says prosecution accuses El-Rufai's family of media campaign tenders wiretap evidence, and that read is on page 30. On page 4, it says here, Nigeria-US operations kill 175 Boko Haram ISIS fighters. Okay. And here on page 2, it says here, on page 2, it reads basically, pardon me. On page 2 on The Guardian, it says persecution, Nigerian-US ASNA and 22-year wait for 14th English Premier League title. And it says ABC crisis deepens as aspirants challenge consensus, governors' choices, and that's on page 6. And on the foot of the paper, it says key stakeholders back Seraki as Abdulrazak's preferred successor. And that's on page 21. Please go out and get yourself a copy. I'm well abreast with the issues making rounds on the Guardian newspaper. Will you take us through the next paper, please?
Thank you, Jumai. Well, it's the first daily. Here it says that just on the nameplates, Arteta leads Arsenal to EPL glory after 22 years. I say that again, after 22 years.
Yes.
All right. And then below the...
sarcastic, don't.
No. It's called the power of emphasis.
It's victory.
I agree.
It proves that you should never give up. And
Stay put. Keep at it.
Keep at it. Keep hope alive. It's very important. See, now you can learn a lot from this, Uyi.
Right.
Other individuals who have left Asna, who have said to themselves, "Oh my goodness, they're not bringing in any value. I'm going to the next club like Chelsea, Manchester, Liverpool." All of those clubs, it's fine. But at the long run, what happened?
I was hoping you won't mention Liverpool, but you did. I'm helpless now.
Well, the truth is, it's fine. Some individuals left, but we stayed there.
You're saying they defected or decamped?
Whatever way you want to put it. But we, the true fans of Arsenal, we stood by them. Whether they won or not, whether they failed. Sometimes we cried with them, sometimes we laughed, sometimes we were happy. 22 years is a long time.
It is.
But victory was just ahead. And we looked at the price and we got it.
Well, I'm waiting patiently to look Mokhtar Kassim in the eye today and congratulate her. It's been a long time coming. Really.
Oh, yes, it has been. God is great.
Well, let's take a look at a few more headlines for you from the first daily this morning. It says 2027, Turaki-led PDP adopts Jonathan as sole presidential candidate. Dangote Refinery slashes aviation fuel price to 1,650 naira per litre. Hopefully that eases the tension in the aviation sector. DHQ, US-Nigeria joint airstrikes kill 175 ISIS fighters. What more do we have? 5 headlines. I didn't mastermind Obasa's removal. Elliott counters Bajobiamila. Oyo attacks. Southwest must prepare for insecurity surge. That's Gani Adams. They're speaking. That sounds a bit disturbing, really. World Health Organization warns Ebola may have spread beyond DR Congo borders. Edo police arrest 5 suspected kidnappers, rescue victim. And then finally, it reads here, DHQ, no terror base in Southwest despite Oyo attacks. Those are the headlines from the first daily today. So make it a first line of priority to read out details of at least some of those headlines. So let's now turn to the Daily Times.
All right, now the Daily Times above the nameplates, it says here, drone experts strategize to capitalize on the global $260 billion UAV market. And next to that, it says here on the business segment, it says NRS targets 40 trillion naira revenue as tax reforms deepen fiscal recovery drive. And the star story on the Daily Times reads, 2027 presidency, Turaki-led PDP fraction names Jonathan Sow candidate as NDC picks OB. And of course, the writer says Wike dismisses parallel elections, says we are waiting for their primaries. And below that, it says Nigeria-US joint strikes kill 175 ISIS fighters, several top commanders in days, and that's from the defense headquarters. Basically, those are all the major news making rounds on the Daily Times. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the issues making rounds. Next, we have the Daily Trust.
All right, so let's go there as we begin to wind down. Here it says, top left corner, how EFCC arrested convicted ex-minister Maman. Why I wrote autobiography, go on there, explaining rationale behind his autobiography on page 3. El-Rufai tapped NSA's phone, prosecution tells court. People told Tinubu I planned to kill him. That was Vice President Kashim Shettima. He said this yesterday at the launch of General Gowon retired's book launch.
His memoir.
Yes, that was heavy when that sort of revelation. But there's context to it, which is the reason you should read up details, right? 2027, PDP faction clears Jonathan for presidential race. APC primaries, more aspirants reject results, take complaints to Abuja, as it should be. I'll never forgive school teacher for allegedly raping my daughters, not daughters. There must be a parent there talking. This is the kind of headline that sends some sort of chills down your spine.
Yes, it does. Very sad.
You can find those details on page 26 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Son allegedly stabs father to death. Again, crazy things happening around us. It's on page 16 of the Daily Trust. Please just look up these details from the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's go look at the last one for you, and that happens to be the Daily Independent.
All right, the Daily Independent, above the nameplate, it says here on page 6, it says 175 ISIS fighters, commanders killed in Nigeria-US operations. And that's from the DHQ, Defense Headquarters. And the writer says terrorists have no operational base in Southwest. And still now on page 7 on the Daily Independent, it says here, Gowon's life rebukes devices, narratives, stereotypes in Nigeria. And that's from our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And below the nameplate, the star story says, rising food prices sparks calls for AG Tech Logistics investment. And still on the Daily Independent on page 7, it says, Nigeria bleeding on the government of post-strategy press statements. And that's from Atiku Abubakar. And on page 29, it says, EFCC arrests fleeing convicted ex-power minister Maman. And on page 6, it says, Patami withdraws from APC Gerber race in Gombe, cites violation of Electoral Act. And on page 6 again, Minister hails tax ombud office as key reform under Tinubu administration. And at the foot of the paper, it says, they told Tinubu, I plan to kill him. And that's from the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. And that read is on page 7. And the writer on the star story says to screen 2,122 assembly, 748 reps, 198 senatorial, and 112 Gerber aspirants. Now, basically, go and get yourself a copy of the Daily Independent to be well abreast. And next is the Blue.
Bringing to you this morning with Jumai's Daily Independent and all the headlines from the front page. As always, we encourage you to please look at the details. That's one way you can find context and perspective and then avoid disinformation and misinformation. Again, we'd like to remind you that Global Television, as a broadcast media entity, or the team here on Global Morning, has no contribution to these headlines or their details. All we do is bring you the headlines exactly as published by their respective publishers. We'll take a break now. When we return, Ogochukwu Mopono will be here to take us, maybe around the world on social bars. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
At Wichtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Wichtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Wichtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
At Aerogym Shoe Factory, excellence starts from the ground up. Located at number 1 Pound Road behind Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State. We produce 1,500 high-quality shoes every single day. Paramilitary shoes, safety boots, desert boots, ankle shoes, back-to-school footwear. All crafted with state-of-the-art equipment and built for strength, comfort, and durability. For reliable footwear that stands the test of time, choose Aerogym Shoes for better product, strong steps, smart style. For inquiries, call 091-264-53399 or 070-3009-3944 or 080-6573-8374 or call 081-3167-3668. Email info@aerogym.com. Website www.aerogymdesign.com. Aerogym. Walk with confidence. Walk with pride.
Social media speaks. We listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on the issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk. Only on Global TV.
Media. Today we're looking at Frank Edor and his estranged wife Sandra Edor. According to Sandra, she has endured abuse and trauma during the marriage and rejected claims portraying her as unfaithful or immoral. She alleged that she had access to Frank's password for months and discovered conversations with several women, including some he allegedly spent time with while avoiding similar activities with her. Sandra further claimed she often found women's belongings inside the car she said she paid for, while Frank allegedly dismissed her concerns with explanations she found unconvincing. She also accused his manager, Toyosi Oyetunji, of allegedly introducing different women to him during their marriage. Among her claims, Sandra alleged that Frank sold one of her properties below value and invaded her privacy by secretly recording and releasing materials involving her. She also said she once defended him during an alleged blackmail incident involving private images. She additionally mentioned Amaka Okeke, accusing her of maintaining a close relationship with Frank and making further claims regarding her presence around their home and family space. Sandra further alleged that she encountered Frank with call girls on one occasion and claimed she ignored several incidents during the marriage. One of her most serious accusations was that Frank allegedly assaulted her with a dumbbell and threatened her life, which she says eventually pushed her to leave the relationship. The allegations surfaced after recent online speculation surrounding the breakdown of the marriage and claims involving singer Chike. In response, Sandra denied accusations against herself and insisted release lengthy statement detailing her side of the story. The controversy has since widened, with some individuals named in Sandra's statement publicly denying the allegations. Amaka Okeke, for instance, described the claims against her as false and malicious and said her legal team would take actions. All right, there's so much, honestly. That video, we're not going to bring it up for, for some reasons. Honestly, we wouldn't want to also go against the NBC rules because it's involved so much brutality in it. When she was, showing that these are evidence that, okay, even though Frank said that he never hit her, she brought out different video evidence of different times that Frank actually did. According to her, she also hid a camera in their house just to show that Frank was not just who he said he is, but something worse than he actually said in the Teji Baby's Face interview. Well, I'm not alone today in the studio. We're going to talk a lot about it. I have someone with me that is so good with family issues. Chumai Mansin. Good morning, Chumai.
Good morning, Ogochukwu. It's great to be here. Really,
you've given me your field. That's your field now.
Okay, because of Insight today.
Yeah,
I'm a family-oriented person. Yes. Family. I love family.
That has to look at human angles and things like this. We're seeing divorce. We're seeing, cases of brutal cases like this and all of that.
Yes, we have.
So let's talk about it. Now, I don't know if you've been following this story.
I have.
Yes.
I have.
So it all started from, Frank saying that he is the king of malice.
Yes.
In an interview with Teju Babyface. And so many persons took it up on social media to say, why would a man come up to say I'm a king of malice?
Exactly.
You can actually go months without talking to your own wife. Even though your wife is in the house. And he even said, go and ask my wife and ask her how I treat her whenever she makes me angry. So many persons were not comfortable with that at all. And then also other cases of, allegations when it comes to infidelity about his estranged wife, Sandra, going out with singer Chike, and so many other things coming up. And right now, she said, you know what, I'm going to break my silence. I've not spoken since, but let me speak now because we've been hearing from Frank all this while. And everyone has been bringing up, speculations here and there. And right now she's speaking for herself. She said, whatever it is he has told you is a lie. At this point, we don't live with Frank. Neither do we live with Sandra.
No, we don't.
We don't. But we are going to pick whatever it is they have said to us, and we are going to judge from that point. We are not the type who say, we listen, we don't judge. We are going to talk about it here so that we know who we are helping and who we are not helping. All right. So from what you've heard us, what you've read and what you've seen over time, I think this case has been on for it has been trending for like a week or two now.
A week.
So from what you've heard, what do you think this case is? Because Frank is saying she wasn't a good wife because she was unfaithful. Yes, she was unfaithful. She was sleeping outside with other men, and now she's saying she was never unfaithful. She was faithful until she left the marriage. What do you think?
And that's when she got involved with the Chike guy.
guy.
Yes, exactly. You see, women take a lot in marriage, especially when you believe that maybe the man can change, or you feel that he will take a U-turn. I think that's why she endured so much, because from what I read, from her first pregnancy, Frank started this very behavior that you'll be surprised that he goes out with call girls, women, with various actresses, the ones from BB Naija. They were all entangled in all of this whole issue. It's just unfortunate that women, they go through a lot, I'll say, because we're all the same gender. But at the same time, the men also, they really need to find a balance in all of this. We're not saying that no one is perfect, but when family is everything. You should not jeopardize your family for anything. It's just unfortunate that she stayed because of her children. She stayed because he could be a better man. She stayed because maybe he could change. But enduring abuse, that I would not support, because that can lead to death. A lot of women have died because their husbands have been physical with them. It's not just physical. Sometimes, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. It takes a toll on a woman. It makes her a shadow of herself. When you see a happy home, look at the wife. If you want to know a happy home and a man that is genuinely happy, look at his wife. And a man that is genuinely sad, that always, when he goes to work, there's always transfer of aggression, look at his wife. A wife plays a major part on how a man should be. And that woman, you can see from her outlook that she wasn't a very happy wife. She wasn't, because it's just unfortunate that Frank Edogho is someone that we've always watched growing up, who wants to be a millionaire. You just do in front of your TV set, and now for him to have this sort of this other side to him, it's just unfortunate. It's really scary. But at the same time, I don't want, for as much as we portray all of these negativity when it comes to marriage, I really need individuals out there who are single to understand that it's not all marriages that are like this. So there's some very amazing individuals who are faithful to their wives, even when they're not perfect. They still, as much as possible, try as much as possible to create that balance, so she won't feel as if she's alone in it. So it's different when you're married and then you feel as if you are alone in the marriage, like how that woman felt. She carried the pregnancy, she was beaten, she went through all of that, even when the heartbreaking part of the man committing infidelity, and you had to stay. And yes, she was doing all of those things, paying school fees, paying expensive flight trips, first class, all of these things, just to tell him that, okay, I still love you, and yet he didn't care. And it's just unfortunate. Where many women go through this, but there's sometimes you have to just draw a line because of your mental health.
All right, you have to draw a line because of your mental health. All right, we'll still come back to that, but let's take a quick comment from social media as regards this. And the first comment is coming from Slim Bust. Slim Bust says, it will be surprisingly that no one will be able to pick how Frank cheated in these evidences she provided. I took my time, read everything, but cannot find where Frank cheated. Meanwhile, the wife mentioned in one of the leaked audios that it wasn't Frank's fault over her infidelity with Chike. See, so how is Frank cheating all of a sudden? I'm not here taking sides. I just want to be fair on this. All right, thank you, Slim Burst. The next comment is coming from Boss Kimura. And Kimura says, he quickly came out to condemn the woman so that it won't look like he's the bad guy. But no be by who complained first, they win in the end. All right, thank you, Kimura. The last but not the least is coming from Istini. And Istini says, I understand what he did is bad, and it's enough for her to leave the marriage, not sleeping with another man. It's better to leave and live in peace. All right, thank you so much, everyone who dropped their comment. But when you say not sleeping with another man, I don't advise infidelity.
No, I don't.
And again, she said she didn't do that when she was in the marriage. It was after she left the marriage, because so many persons are here saying, oh, in fact, we have seen a lot of women come out to say, I love that she went to a young person. I love that, she did it with a younger person. She's in a happy place and all of that. Maybe that's what is hurting him, because she's actually with a better person or a younger person. In fact, so many persons are even, hailing Chike on social media and said he did a very good job. He saved her from, let me use the word, Koromoto man. So many people are really funny on social media. But it shouldn't be like etiquette.
No.
It shouldn't be etiquette. For the fact that you were having issues like this in your family, it shouldn't be etiquette for you to meet another man. Yes, I understand that you can actually separate properly before you meet another man.
Yes, you can.
Because I know even in relationships, it happens. If you know you are not done with that relationship, this is not marriage. If you know you are not done with that relationship, there's no need cheating. There's no need doing anything, because who knows, that person still has something for you, still feel something for you, you too feel something for the person. So it's better you make it official. Okay, I'm done with you. Then we'll move over to the next one. It's better that way. But then why is everything coming out now? I also realized that a woman will keep everything, even the bad and the good, when it concerns her husband, because she loves the man.
Yes.
But immediately she's done loving you, she's bringing it out. So right now, I don't even blame Sandra. If she's saying all of this, she's dropping receipts. There's so many online. Yes, she did that yesterday. She dropped a lot of evidence, and people said these evidence are enough to even sue him for at least beating her to that extent. There's so many bruises, blood everywhere, different footages online right now, and it's not a good one at all. And she said he doesn't just keep malice, he beats me.
I know the first wife said the same thing. That
Catherine said something like that, yes. But no one really, everyone just overlooked Catherine, and how can this veteran presenter and all of that? We looked up to Frank Edoho, like you said. When it comes to
I was always glued. I was very little. I was so little, but it was so interesting to me. But you know what, Ogo? When people are hailing that, doing it with a younger man or whatever, the truth is, psychologically, are you healed? It's not about going into the next available individual. Yes. No, that's where people get it wrong. You have to heal first, because the thing is, for as much as he might not be Frank Edoho, the younger person, there are some things that he will do that you will not be able to condone, and because he's young. You have how many kids, and he's still young. He still has his eyes. He says he loves older women, okay, but you're not the only older woman that will cross his path, and you're not sure whether he's faithful or not. So please, it's better you heal first, understand, and don't just jump into the most you feel like he's available. Is it leading somewhere? You need have stability in your first marriage. You need stability in your second marriage. So stability is very important. So I don't understand all of what are you hailing him for? What are you hailing her for? It was just a phase, and of course, this social media doesn't ever forget. And these are things that, because of individuals that look up to you, like your children, they would see these sort of things, your family members. For goodness sake, are you kidding me? Why would you put all your relationship out there? I don't know about people, but being private is very important. It's very, very important. But at the same time, I do not agree to a younger person, please. I should have done it with someone who is more mature.
But that's her choice.
I know it's her choice, but at least because of stability, this guy is a young guy. There
are some young guys that actually think,
Okay, I know, but at least. Well, I don't know, but at the same time, you have to heal first, because with all of these things, she's like, that's why there's a difference between Sandra and Catherine. Catherine has moved on with her life. That's the thing. If you've not moved on, you still be dragging dirt and pain and back and forth, putting up your laundry for the whole world to see. Like, hello, are you kidding me? That Catherine is different. I'm sure Catherine has moved on with her life with another man, and she's stable. That's why she's not dragging Frank. Like, if it's not important, like, hello, please, come on, just heal and be stable mentally. Focus on yourself, your kids, and how to get better. And then you can think about a relationship that will bring worth and value to your life, and not, all of these things. But I wish them all the best of luck, though.
All right, thank you. That's why I said you're actually the best person for this job. I know you're going to talk sense into this. Please don't be. All right, thank you so much, Jumai Manson, for your contribution to this topic.
You're
welcome. I'm sure that the right audience are actually listening, so that they can pick a thing or two when it comes to relationship and marriage. All right, this is where we close the curtains for Social Buzz on Global Morning. I'll be leaving in the hands of Jumai Manson and Uyi Amofebe as they usher us into the discussion section of Global Morning. So stay with us. I am Ogot Kumobno. Good morning once again, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk,
real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust a multi-platform news broadcast, real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
As it stands today, one of the several crucial steps towards 2027 general election cycle is being taken by political parties, whether it's the APC or the ADC or the NDC, and quite a number of the others. However, one thing has been clear: many of these, as it were, actors say there is so much of concern within their own political parties on account of the conduct and, of course, by extension, the process. You can't take away primaries within political parties from the democratic process, because that is the point at which you determine who goes where and who flies what flag. However, the challenge with this has been that in the case of the APC in particular, there has been tension, division, rancor, and of course, allegations of imbalance in terms of how the party has thrown up candidates the last couple of days. Are this indicative of what we will see most likely in 2027, and what are their implications for our democratic process? This morning we're joined by Dr. Moses Saleh here virtually from Abuja. He is a political analyst. Dr. Moses will say it's good to see you again after a long while, and thank you so very much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Moses. Thank you for being a part of the program.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
I think we probably should begin from the, the primaries themselves. When you look at the process today, yes, we understand it's not completely done. There are still parties that have not conducted theirs. Others are right in the middle. You have one or two who are done altogether. But share your candid assessments of this process across political parties with our viewers.
Okay, thank you. When we talk about political
There's a freeze with that connection there.
Yes.
But obviously, the gentleman was just going to settle into laying the analysis in front of us. Once we reconnect with him, we'll get back to that. But you see why this is important is that there's a fusion, if you like, or some sort of correlation between the primary election of political parties and the general election cycle itself.
Exactly.
And one thing that is very concerning is how that you have politicians, especially in the APC, who are now saying that they've been sidelined, they've been marginalized.
Yes.
In fact, some of them even say they feel cheated by the party itself. And then, of course, you have the claims by some that governors in certain states have hijacked the process. Joma, you and I know how powerful governors are when it comes to electoral process.
Yes, we do.
Because they are the leaders of the party in their respective states. For example, we are hearing this morning that at least in 10 states, consensus has been rejected, so there has to be direct primaries as a process to determine who emerges. While you also have one or two cases where governors have said, look, Juma Manson is going to be my successor, and it appears that is cast in concrete.
Yes, it is. And it's very important that these primaries are done, because there are so many things that it aligns with. It's very important that we understand. Like we mentioned, like if we revert back to Imo State, for instance, with the governor, the sitting governor, Hope Uzodinma, and of course, Senator Richard Okorocha. You saw what happened. The primaries had to be done in order for one candidate to emerge as the senator. And it's very important that we understand these things, that it's a process. It must be done in order for us to know this candidate is the people's choice. It's a people's choice. It's not what I think as an individual or what you think, but the vote matters, vote counts. So that is why it's very important. And it must be done in order for, so we won't have loggerheads and won't have individuals on this particular fraction and we have another fraction. It's done in the open for everyone to know that, okay, this is the individual that has the highest votes and he will emerge as the people's choice. So it's very important that we understand that in order to move forward. This is democracy. It's very important. It's flexible. It's not rigid. Very important.
You see, my concern, and I think by extension that is overall the concern of most Nigerians, is that when you have political party members, aspirants in this case in particular, who do not repose confidence in their own leadership on account of how that leadership has conducted itself, I mean, across political parties now, it is very disturbing, because it will play out in not just in 2027 general election, but in our democratic process.
Yes.
Because when people say, I'm a party man, I'm a party loyalist, I believe in party supremacy, that should count for something.
Yes.
But when you now have a situation where somebody wakes up and says, look, our governor in this state is overstepping himself, our governor in this state has hijacked the political party structures.
Yes, he's not working.
Exactly. It's high-handed in the way he leads the party.
True.
That should be very concerning. And that's the reason, like you and I saw in the papers this morning, a while ago, you now see aspirants who are coming to Abuja, maybe to report to the national chairman of the party or to the president in the case of the APC. Now, to say, look, these are the anomalies we have observed, and this is the way it has impacted us adversely. So the question is, does the APC in particular have the resources, the mechanism to resolve all of this? Of course, they would always say it's a family affair, it's one big family, it's a party issue. Right, but you see, the clock is ticking, right? We have talked to some APC leaders here who have said on live television that there are those who are not very pleased with the way the party is being run internally. And as such, they have expressed the fear that such individuals or groups may work against the interest of the party going into the election. But again, this is disturbing because it is garbage in, garbage out. If you can't fix your problems as a political party, how then do you want Nigerians to be confident that you can fix our national problems?
Exactly. And it plays this is a very big aspect, I always say, for individuals who have internal crisis in their parties, and yet you want to emerge as an aspirant, presidential aspirant, senatorial or governorship aspirant. It takes a toll on how we look at you. Like, how do you think we see you in this? You must have that unity in your party. Once there's unity, there is love, there's stability. That's when you can give back to us, we individuals who want to vote you into power. But once it's not there, internal crisis here and there, individuals say they want this person, another party says they want this individual, the court is still, we're going back and forth with court matters. There's a jurisdiction that has been placed down. The court has given its verdict, and you say no, you want to oppose it. And you expect us as Nigerians to sit back and place you. No, it's not going to happen. I think internal crisis is playing a major role in actually dragging these parties back more than bringing it forward to making an impact in Nigeria. It's just unfortunate.
What a brilliant way to put it. It's quite concerning, really. But we understand in the meantime, Dr. Moses Saleh has reconnected with us. Doctor, thank you so very much. You were going to just initiate a narrative a while ago. Would you kindly continue on that path?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me back. Sorry for that break in transmission. What I was saying earlier was that, the activities of political parties in a democratic space is very, very important. And if you like it or not, it is what the political parties present to the public. That is what you are limited to take a decision on in terms of citizens. You asked a question of my assessment of all the political parties' primaries thus far. The electoral law brought a new dimension to how parties should conduct their primaries this time around. That either it is done by direct process where members of the party come together to choose their representatives, or it is by consensus. And that brought a little bit of challenge, especially to the opposition parties, considering the limited resources that are available to them. For that reason, they are having a lot of issues in terms of logistics and other things. But for the ruling party, we can see a lot of protests here and there, considering how the primaries have gone so far, because some are already dissatisfied and they are already making serious complaints about what has transpired. And I see that as a major challenge going into the election, because if they don't really have a robust peace-making and peace-building infrastructure within the party, to be able to harmonize these differences before they go into the election, it will go a long way in weakening the party within. To go a long way in weakening the party within, because they are likely to give their support to other parties against their own party because of the way the primaries have been handled thus far. But notwithstanding, Nigerian political parties, they are still growing. And because they are growing, and deliberate steps have not been taken in the past to ensure that internal mechanisms of how these parties are administered is strengthened. And that is why we are now seeing some of the weaknesses manifesting when they have major activities like primaries and all that. For so far, so good. We have not seen much of violence that we used to see before when they conduct primaries. Death here and there, we've not recorded that much this time, which is a plus. But many people are already disgruntled because they don't really have the opportunity to go to decamp and go and join other political parties and pursue their ambition, because the time frame given by the Electoral Act has already shut the door. So that alone, we have a lot of rippling effect going into the election.
Primaries to the growth and sustainability of democracy in Nigeria. Dr. Moses, are you there?
I can hear you.
Okay. I said, how important are party primaries to the growth and sustainability of democracy in Nigeria? For individuals who are actually wondering, with these party primaries upcoming.
Yes, party primaries are very, very important. Like I said earlier before we had that breaking transmission, you can't really have a workable democracy without a virile political environment defined by political parties. And that is why activities of political parties, they are very, very important in a democracy, because democracy itself has no form except it's defined by political parties. And going back to your question, the primaries of political parties, they are key to our democracy, because when political parties make their choices in terms of putting candidates forward in a general election, the citizens are constrained by the quality of candidates that they put forward. The citizens have no option, because in our electoral law, there is no provision for independent candidacy where someone can just, come out and say, I'm contesting for this election, even though I do not belong to any political party. We don't have that provision in our laws. So the political parties are the ones to give you candidates that you can cast your ballot on. And the quality of candidates that they give to you will go a long way in shaping our democracy. If they give you non-entities, those non-entities who, when they get into government, get into offices, they make decisions that is binding on you. So that is why we need to be interested in the quality of representation that we get from political parties. Because whatever these guys, decide to do when they get into office have a lot of rippling effects on us as individuals, as citizens, and on our institutions, and as on the democracy of the country as a whole. So that's why it is very, very important for us to pay attention to what political parties do.
Party primaries a bit. Let us tilt towards our electoral body, which is INEC. Now, what role should INEC play when it comes to monitoring and regulating party primaries? They have to play a major role when it comes to this issue at hand. Hey, they are the electoral body.
Yes, INEC is very, very important in the regulation of party activities. It is one of their core responsibilities, which I agree with you. But you see, many questions have been asked about INEC's activities in recent time. And because people are now asking questions, the independence that we expect INEC to exercise when it comes to, relating with political parties have been put under serious scrutiny in recent time. For instance, when you look at especially opposition political parties that have been in crisis since 2023 after the election. You can see that INEC, in one way or the other, play roles in escalating the crisis. For instance, look at Labour Party. Labour Party was the party that came third in the presidential election for 2023. The moment after that election, they went into leadership crisis. Abure was asked to leave by the stakeholders because his tenure had expired, but he refused and quickly conducted a convention in Onitsha, where he emerged as his chairman. So for that reason, they went to court and even up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled in 2025, around April 2025, that Abure's tenure had expired. And based on that judgment, INEC ought to have implemented it immediately by de-recognizing Abure as the substantive chairman of the party. But INEC did not do that. Up till December last year, around 31st or thereabout of December last year, the moment some of the major players in the party started, decamping, especially a person like Peter Obi, when he left for ADC. 3 or 4 days after Peter Obi left, INEC now acted by de-recognizing Abure. So what happened within the space of 8 months? What happened within the space of 8 months? So you are taking 8 months to study the judgment of the Supreme Court for you to implement. So this kind of behavior, questions the independence and the neutrality of INEC as a regulating body. Because you are there to regulate the activities of political parties, not because of the party that is in government, but because of the sake of the democracy. You ought not to give that room for to be perceived as if you are biased or working for the party in government. But INEC didn't do that. And there are other several incidences that you can, bring and that you can cite to show that INEC did not do what they ought to do in terms of being independent and not showing clear bias in the regulation of political parties. So these are things that give confidence to the regulator and also to the parties to ensure that things are done properly. If INEC continue to behave in this manner, it will go a long way in undermining our democracy. People will lose trust and lose confidence in the process. And if people begin to lose trust and confidence in the process, they will begin to question every step on the way. You look at what is going to happen in the coming election. Citizens that ordinarily before, when they cast their ballots, they go home and rest. They are now advocating that they will now follow their votes down to the last stage of the process, which it ought not to be because there's a trust gap. And if you ask the question, who created this trust gap? It is the activities and the behaviors of the regulating institution that created that room for them. So INEC should be able to, rediscover itself and begin to behave in the manner a regulator should behave, so that they can be able to gain the confidence and the trust of citizens and also players in this space.
See all of these occurrences, these events we're witnessing now, affecting or put differently, shaping the 2027 election, because it appears that many of these events are only indicative of what Nigerians should expect in the general election.
In terms of what? Please, I didn't get the question clearly.
I'm saying that, look, this process has not been fair to us. This process has not been, as it were, open in terms of allowing a level playing field for contenders or for aspirants, right? Do you see this playing out or shaping the general election in specific ways in 2027?
Of course, yes, it will. When that perception is already there that the regulator is biased and is probably working for the party in government, other players, other political parties who are fielding candidates in the race, they will begin to take measures, to be able to protect or preserve whatever they have. And in that manner, that will lead to crisis. Because once they begin to behave in that manner, there is that tendency that they will not adhere to clear-cut instructions given by the regulator. And that is why the regulator must be above board. You must show clearly that you are for all and for none. That is the character of a regulator. But if INEC begin to pander in the manner that gives that gap or gives that perception that he, as a body, they are working for the party in government, definitely you are going to create that environment that will make other stakeholders to begin to, try to, okay, for instance, get touts or get their own armed force that will be able to protect their votes, or that will be able to ensure that figures are not altered. The other day we were listening to someone who said that they are going to open their own IREV, and whatever INEC is doing, let INEC continue to do their own, they will be doing their own. When you hear statements like this, they are coming out because people have lost trust. There's no longer trust. There's no trust. There's no confidence in the regulator. If there is trust in the regulator, and if there is confidence in the regulator, there will be no need for citizens to say they want to have a different pattern to collate results. So INEC's major problem as we speak, as they prepare towards the 2027 election, is to see how they can win the trust of citizens, is to see how they can win the trust of Nigerians. Because if that trust does not exist, whatever they announce, whether it's the right decision or whether it's the correct figure, people will still doubt it. And that is why a regulator like INEC must not give itself away in a manner that allows citizens to perceive it as if it's working against citizens and working for the party in government. So INEC should be able to wake up and begin to work on that. And how would they do that? They have to demonstrate it. To win the trust, you have to show it that you are doing the right thing. And that is the way to go about it. As we prepare towards 2027 general election, INEC has a lot to do in terms of winning the confidence and the trust of citizens, because there is a huge trust gap existing already. And if that happens, and if not properly managed, it could lead to serious violence and all kinds of activities that may mar the next general election. And these are the implications that comes as a result of this type of behavior.
Grievances contribute to unresolved grievances from political parties contribute to instability and defections from party members.
Can you recast the question?
Does unresolved grievances contribute to defections and, of course, instability in political parties?
Of course, yes. Like I said, the approach outlined in the electoral law, that talk about direct primaries in terms of every member of a political party participates in the primary election by, casting their ballots for their representative or by consensus. These are the two options outlined in the electoral law for political parties to present their candidates for the next election, with a time frame that all their activities must end by 31st of May 2026. produce their presidential candidates, their governors, their senatorial candidates, House of Reps, House of Assembly. So they have until 31st of this month to do that. And with that time frame, they are already under pressure. And with the grievances that we are already seeing as a result of these primaries, definitely is going to tear many political parties apart, especially the ruling party and also some opposition parties. Because the ruling party, their primaries are ongoing, and most of the grievances that we have seen or that have been reported thus far emanate from them. The opposition parties, we are not having much from them now, except for the ADC, who are struggling to have an agreement on who should be their presidential flag bearer. Unlike the NDC, NDC is more stable now. It's more stable because I think in their own presidential form, they only had Mr. Peter Obi as their own presidential candidate. And by that reason, he is going to emerge unopposed. So there's more stability there and quietness there compared to the ADC, where the three major candidates of Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, and Hayatuddin, have not agreed on who should be the flag bearer of the party. And when I listened to Chibuike Amechi yesterday in an interview which he granted, he was insisting that he's not going for the VP, that he bought the form for the presidential ticket. So you can see that there is a serious tension in ADC at the moment, considering with also numerous litigations that they are also battling with. So that's it. Definitely these grievances will show up in the next general election. It will, except something is done in the matter all interests are adequately taken care of. But how do you take care of an interest of someone perhaps who thought that he already had the ticket in his pocket, but because of the defection of other people into the ruling party, they displaced them and took the ticket away from them? This kind of things, some people have been around for 8 years or more than 8 years in the party, building it, strengthening it, spending their personal resources, waiting for the opportunity to represent the party. But someone in the name of being a governor defects into the party, takes over the structure of the party, and begins to put people on the ticket. Those guys who have been around there, definitely they won't be happy. So it's going to affect the outcome. They may not defect because they don't have the opportunity to defect from the party to another party now. But they might be there just bearing the membership while they work against the party by aligning with other opposition in the coming election. That is what is likely to happen as we prepare for the 2027 general election.
We are grateful. We understand you have a busy schedule ahead of you, but you made out time to join us here on the program. We do not take that for granted. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moses Saleh, for being a part of Global Morning. Thank you.
At this point in time, we're taking a break now. When we return, second conversation, now focusing on Nigeria's democratic process and the future of our democracy in light of the unfolding political events we've seen the last couple of weeks. Do stay with us, everyone. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust a multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe. The second conversation on the road for you now, everybody, focusing on the internal mechanism of political parties, how that rubs off in certain ways on the 2027 election and Nigeria's democratic future. We're joined this morning by Engineer Abu Dauda. He's a political analyst and a public affairs commentator. And in the course of our interaction this morning, we'll find out the party is affiliated with at this point in time, because a lot has changed the last couple of months. I would like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the program.
Great. So Juma and I will take advantage of the privilege of hosting you this morning to talk about some of the political developments in our country. When you look at the events of the last couple of weeks, for instance, especially as it has to do with our political process, how does that influence your evaluation of the 2026 Electoral Act?
Well, the Act is supposed to clean up some of the areas that were a bit hazy in terms
Supposed to.
supposed to. What we are going through now is more of the implementation of some of the issues that are surrounding the leadership selection and the candidates and all that. It doesn't, in my view, sit exactly perfectly like all Nigerians would like to know, or at least for us to understand or perceive it. It is becoming more of a situation where just a few people are in charge of the process. So that in itself creates a lack of trust for a lot of Nigerians, and also a big situation whereby some of us are wondering who is really doing the actual process of selecting. Is it the voter, or is it just the leaders themselves that are doing it for us? So these last few weeks I raised a lot of questions, and some of them are yet to be answered. Some have been answered. Even at national level, you will see that there is a lot of movement between places, and that movement has not sat perfectly like a lot of Nigerians were expected. There are leaders that have moved, and there are leaders that have refused to give in to even the appearance of consensus or some collaboration or even some agreements. There is none. Everybody is standing on his own and thinking that I will win by myself, and it's not the case in Nigeria. You cannot win by yourself. You have to be with others. So we'll see what happens over the next few months when the INEC closes the gate for the list of people that are going to run. But right now, the process is very haphazard.
Now, looking at all of this that you've said, how are internal political struggles at this point, by political parties, how is it when it comes to shaping the 2027 presidential election?
Well, internally, there is supposed to be a structure. For all parties, you should have a structure. But when the structure is only one person, then it becomes impossible to change it. And if you go to the national level, the structure is Tinubu. And if you go to any state, the structure is the governor. So what are the party members actually doing in the party?
But has that not always been the tradition since 1999? I mean, Obasanjo days, for example.
Exactly. It was better in the past. Now money has taken over, and also incumbency has taken over. When you are in charge of that office, you by will or by whatever, you control the whole thing, and that removes our voice. It makes it just one voice, and that one voice sometimes we may agree with it or we may not, but you don't have a lot of options in today's political structure, and that needs to be. We need to look at institutions that are very strong instead of personalities that are very strong. And right now, the personalities are stronger than the institutions. So that's why we are facing these challenges.
So you mentioned something about money has taken over. Does it mean that money is overruling the voice of people?
Well, money in a way that, if I want to run today, I have to be wealthy. So money has become the issue.
A criteria.
Exactly. Because if you are not wealthy, then how do you run? You can't. There is no way to come to finance a campaign without money. And that money does not come from anywhere else unless you already have it. So if you don't have it, then you're excluded. So at that level, money has become an obstacle for many. And that also makes it that incumbency controls a lot of the resources that we have. So that also makes it easier for incumbency to control the process. So it is not unknown to us. We know this is the reality. So that has to be changed in some ways.
Are you still a member of the APC?
Yes.
Oh, great. But it appears you are anti many of the things happening within the party. What's the basis for that?
I disagree with the government on a lot of things.
Including the president?
Yes. Because, you have to look at it from the realities. It's easy to make promises. And I think a lot of our leaders make promises. You promise I will do this. I will take a loan. I will, collect taxes. I will do this. Yes, do all that. But what are the realities in my street, in my school, in my hospital? What are the realities on my roads? What are the realities, in my market? When those realities do not match your promises, then I disagree with you because you're not really providing the things that you promised to provide. And so we have to question our leaders. If we just agree with them all the time, then nothing changes. So I disagree with the government on many things because I see the focus that they put on many things have not yielded the results that they promised.
Now, talking about being a card-carrying member of the APC now.
With one leg outside.
With one leg outside. But in all, you're still there at about this point. Do you think a lot of political parties need to go back to the drawing board in order to still have the confidence of individuals in our society? Because you mentioned a lot when you said, let's look at schools, let's look at this, let's look at that. A lot needs to be done when it comes to that area.
Well, confidence for the political parties has to come from the ideology and the philosophy of the party. Right now, we are not. All political parties are transactional.
Okay.
All of them.
All of them.
Okay.
I want to be a governor, I want to be a senator, I want to be a House of Reps. That's all they do. They provide the platform for you to gain that office. But there is no, I don't know what APC, besides the word progressive, what does this stand for? Ideologically, we don't have, an institution that builds that ideology. We have institutions that build personalities. It makes you a governor, it makes you a president, it makes you House of Reps, but it doesn't change your thinking into what is the goal for that party along the way for Nigeria from now until who knows whenever. So that is the problem with, where we have no ideology, no philosophy, just transactions. And a political party that is only transactional will always have people in when it is good, and they will have people going out when it goes bad. And this is what you see in all our parties. Many have died, and many are coming up. And brand new ones today are attracting everybody. Why? Because I want to go in first. Because if I go in first, I'll have the opportunity to sit on this table or that table. And that doesn't help us.
But do you think it's all about personal interest now and not the interest of individuals on whom these parties are there to represent?
There are those that actually have interest to represent.
Genuinely?
Yes, genuinely. There are those that have interest to represent. And we have a few that we can point examples to, even in our current, leadership status. But it needs to be the only reason that you come into a political party is to represent the interests of the constituency or the public. But when the interest now becomes more of yours, I have an example is if you go to River State, they will say only Wike.
Yes.
You go to Maiduguri, Zulum. So this personalities has overtaken the party itself. And if he doesn't say so, nothing happens. So that in itself breaks down the structure. And so the personal interests that we have overridden the general interests of the public. And it is unfortunate that we have reached this point. Because at the beginning, it started very well. And I think that, maybe as we discuss and go through the process before 2027, it will revert to issues and philosophy and ideology.
Let me ask a question. I'm sure many Nigerians will be wondering, with all of this that you have said, at the beginning it was going on very well, it was smooth sail, we understood it was a give and take kind of transaction. What is the way forward now in order to get to that point, how we started to give it the best ahead of us? Because 2027 is just around the corner.
Well, we have to, in my view anyway, we have to look at the three things that motivates the voter.
Okay.
His mood. Beside his mood is that his expectations, and then his identity. If we look at those three things, mood today, we are all angry. At least majority of Nigerians are angry. The identity we carry is that either I'm from the north or the south or the east or whatever.
True.
And then my expectation is that if he's from my town, he will do for me.
Exactly.
So those three things, remove all other things that you can expect from politics. Because now if I'm angry at the government, so I will vote with that anger. And, the government will need to be very careful that I do not vote for somebody else. If my identity is from the north and you are from the south, you're in trouble with me. And if my expectation is that only my own will do what I want, then whoever you are, competence doesn't come in. And that is where everything is missing. When you don't vote because somebody is competent, you vote because he's from so-and-so, or he knows so-and-so, or he's with so-and-so, then it has broken down the system. Let us go back to that level where people look at you and say, he has done well, he performed, he knows how to do this. He has a history. He was a local government chairman. No, he was a House of Reps, national, state assembly, whatever he did to bring him to that level that you can have
has made the impact.
But somebody just drops from nowhere with money in his pocket and tomorrow he's the governor.
As it stands right now, it will appear for the most part, the All Progressives Congress, as a political entity, is carrying on, is acting as though it is already the morning after the general election. By that I mean the ruling party is acting as though they've won the election already. That's some very substantial amount of confidence. Where could that be coming from, or is it just living in denial?
Well, social media has spoiled a lot of our politics. Because there's only about 40 or 20% of us online. And only about 15% of us actually are engaged socially. But we have developed this confidence that when I say it, it is true. So even the government has fallen into that fallacy, that if I say it is true. So people now come on social media and tell you, Tinubu will be here for 8 years, final. So,
do you have your doubts?
Of course. Even Tinubu should have doubts.
Why?
Because
with all the governors that have moved in?
Thank you. No matter what he did, we saw a lot of examples before him. There are people that were presidents and they have all the promises in the world and they lost. So you shouldn't have that confidence. Social media is the one that is creating that fallacy that you will win, and we believe it. But the day that will come when someone actually is in the booth and printing, you cannot control that day. Unless you will just ignore the vote completely and just create your own. Now that's a different story. But if you're going to listen to how many people voted for me, then you need to be concerned, because there is no assurance just because APC says we are going to win that they will win. It's not true. None of them has the majority. We win based on division of votes. So that you get the highest number and you become president. But nobody as a president had a majority. Tinubu did not get 12 million votes. Atiku did not get 12 million. Obi did not get 12 million. They only got 6, 7, and 8. Out of 90 or 80 million registered voters.
Right.
So nobody is ruling with a majority. So do not be fooled into thinking that you have what you want. The voters that never voted might vote this time.
I want to put you on the spot because you said you're an APC member with one leg in and one leg out. Yes. What's your take on former President Goodluck Jonathan acquiring the presidential ticket with the PDP as a presidential aspirant? What's your take on that? Do you think it's a step in the right direction? What's your take, basically?
Let me just say this. The PDP as a party is good for Nigeria for it to be alive. Because without opposition, it becomes dictatorship. So if Jonathan comes in, it's good. Not because I want him to be president, but because I want the campaign and the political space to be full of ideas and options and choices. So if he comes, he's a choice. And it's good for Nigeria. But the PDP also has done its own, home break. From internally, it created problems that now has become intractable. But let all the politicians that are out there come into this space. Don't sit outside and then after it is done, then you say, like Obasanjo is writing letters. It's because he has done his time. But let nobody who has not finished done anything, start writing letters and telling us that, this is what should happen. Right. Come into the space and do what you can. If you win, fine. If you don't win, then support the winner and let's move forward. And that winner should also carry everybody along. Ask for ideas, use consensus, collaborate, find, agreement so that Nigeria as one, we all participate in making it better. But when we all sit on the side that if it's not me, I don't care, then we have really not done ourselves any favors.
Opposition is polarized, apparently, in Nigeria today. Yes. You have former Vice President Atiku Abubakar going in one direction. You have Obi and Kwankwaso, again, powerful actors in the space, going in a different direction. And then in between, you have a few other, players or actors heading in another direction altogether. When you look at all of this, will it be valid, will it be logical and realistic to say we have a robust, vibrant, forward-looking opposition in this country?
No, we don't. Robust, vibrant, we don't. Because it's all, let me go back a little bit. If you go to 2023, there were 3 candidates, and they know how they performed. So today, if you look at where we are, it's the same repetition. Obi is in a separate party. Atiku is in a separate party. Tinubu is the president, and in a separate party. The voters are still the same people.
Right.
So we're going to repeat the same thing. So in a robust system, what you will do is you will now say alliances are necessary. Nigeria is deeply diverse. So you must have alliances, and then you must also have, agreements and coalitions that form into becoming a strong party. We're not concerned with doing a strong party. It's just me. Everybody is me. And that really kills the system. Atiku should know that he has support, and he had support in 2023. But today is 2027, or next election anyway. How is he going to perform? In the same line, is that a winning posture? If you just get the same votes again, are you going to win the election? Right. No. If Peter Obi get the same votes again, is he going to win the election? No. If Tinubu get the same votes again, he will win the election.
So ultimately, Tinubu holds the aces.
So now he's holding the ace, and they know that. Excuse me. And knowing that means that they have not changed, and politics cannot be where you just are so rigid that you never change, and then you're not helping us because you're not giving us any options. We'll come and vote for you. You will lose, you will win, and we go back home again, and we face the same challenges. But if we need something to be changing and to be improving, then we need to look at the options that if I lose this time, maybe I should allow somebody else to run. All of them. If you lose once, maybe you should allow someone else to run.
Let me ask a question. Let's tilt a bit. Do you think, is Nigeria becoming stronger due to political competition, or we're becoming weaker? That's Nigerian democracy now. Becoming stronger due to political competition, or we're becoming weaker due to internal conflicts in these political parties?
Our democracy is such that we are wasting a lot of resources. So we're not getting stronger based on politics. We may be getting stronger based on other areas of concern, education, other things. But on politics, we're not getting stronger because only individuals are getting stronger. If I'm a governor today, I may start as a party member, I may start as allegiance to the chairman, to the president. By the time I run for governor, and I'm governor for 8 years, my strengths, all the party strengths has coalesced into me. The chairman is my own, the delegates are my own, the funding is my own, so everything becomes me. So how do we get stronger when we are always pushing everything towards one individual, right? In order for us to get strong, it has to be distributed. It has to be that the party remains. Every vote in the party is useful. If there is going to be consensus, it should be negotiated consensus. It should not be imposition. And today, how do we impose someone from the top and then we call it consensus? It's not. So there are many things that we're not getting stronger in terms of politics. There are other areas that they have done, maybe infrastructure and other things that they have invested, we're getting stronger. Maybe in other things, health or other areas that they have put money. But we need that resource to come out of our politics and go into our daily lives, and it will see a strong Nigeria.
We've seen or heard at least speculations and theories about some kind of imminent implosion within the APC. Is that where you stand?
Well, in any party, and especially a party that is the government of the day, it should be willing to listen to the voice of the people. If Nigerians are screaming that we are suffering, and we are not even in 2027, should Tinubu and his cabinet be worried about politics today?
But we keep hearing that the president is a listening president.
But we don't see it. Since 2023, we have been complaining about fuel subsidy.
But he says there's no going back on that policy.
If there is no going back, who is he listening to? It's not us. If you are the leader of a nation and the nation is telling you there is a problem and you refuse to listen, then that's your choice. But you can't complain to us and say that now we have to follow you because you just know better. You don't know any better than any of us. We just gave you the chance to be the head. But you don't know any better than all of us. So if you don't want to listen to us, then fine. We'll find somebody. And even if I'm in APC, I can tell you to your face, you're not doing what we are expecting.
It looks like you're already at the door of exiting the APC. You are sounding more like someone in the opposition or coalition, as they call it. But
no, I'm telling my president to listen.
But you and I have spoken about this for a while now. It appears that listening has not happened. But let's talk about insecurity as it stands today. Two things quickly. First, the president, we saw him in a video recently where he was saying that they are, these were his exact words, they are trying to push me out using insecurity. That is suggestive of the possibility that there are forces who are leveraging insecurity to edge him out, at least according to his own claims. Then second, we have seen how insecurity has shaped elections and, of course, the process in this country. Even in 2015, we saw how former NSA, Tambo Dazuki, while I was at the Chatham House, saying that, look, we may have to move our elections by 6 weeks so that Northeast, which was the hotbed at the time in particular, can calm down a little and they were able to conduct elections in those areas and things like that. Do you see any credibility in the president's claim, number one? Number two, do you see insecurity marring these, the next election in 2027?
When the president says that they are trying to use insecurity, he may actually blame, and I don't blame him, but he's the president. He's the president. If we have insecurity, I should not be seeing my generals riding in a convoy in Abuja when the insecurity is in Maiduguri.
Right. So you're saying that's misplaced priority?
A lot of it. I should not be seeing my IGP in Abuja running around with convoy and guns when the people in Zamfara are hiding in their huts. I should not be seeing, the Air Force carrying, dignitaries from A to B when we have, people in, the forest holding us hostage. So there is a lot of things that we also, as Nigerians, are saying, why don't you do this? Of course, someone is going to use the fact that we are insecure to malign the president, of course, or malign the governor. That's natural. Who else are they going to blame? But the point is, there are many things that he needs to also change in the system itself. So that when that is all tried and still we fail, then we can say he has done his best. But you cannot say, don't say anything, and then we are still insecure. And you cannot say, don't blame me, or they are blaming me, and then we are still insecure. Who else is going to come and save us? It's only the president. It's only the military, it's only the police, it's only the Air Force. And if they are there and we are still insecure, then we have to blame them. And if they say, okay, we are doing A, B, and C, then let's see it. We remember we discussed it. I said, they were pardoning, people that were caught as bandits, as terrorists, and whatever. We don't even know who they are.
Right.
And that's where we come in. Identity. We vote based on identity. If I am in the Northeast and you're talking about, my identity is that these people from whoever they are identified as me. If I go to Oyo, they will say, he's from Yobe, and they see me as one of them.
Right.
That's identity. So that identity influences all of us. So we cannot run away from it. Even if I didn't do anything, I'm still guilty.
Right.
And those that are innocent are also guilty. Why? Because that's the identity we have created for each area. And so the president needs to understand that it's not as simple, we are blaming you. No, it's not that. It's just that there is no other options. Now what can you do? So we are looking to you. And if you can do something, do it now. And if there is nothing to do, tell Nigerians there's nothing to do. Let's all carry a gun or carry a machete or whatever. But let's not just wait until we are all destroyed.
Let us tilt towards the electoral body, that is INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and of course the chairman, Josh Ampito. Do you think with the upcoming 2027 election, he has the competence to ensure that it will be free, fair, and transparent?
Well, the INEC is all about credibility. Every action, every step they take, or every action they are involved in has to be credible. And the integrity of the chairman is number one. So if you're the chairman of INEC, your integrity must be unquestioned. He's already coming with package.
Like,
he went to the UN and said genocide.
And that was prior to becoming the chairman of the commission.
So you cannot be impartial in any sense. When your mind has already been programmed and you already made the case that there is a problem here. And when we looked deeply, a lot of people have disagreed with you. So how do you convince us now that you have changed? So the credibility of the chairman is important, but he can still do a good job. He needs to now begin the process of building that confidence.
But a lot of people will beg to differ and say he's not the right man for the job.
I'm one of them, but that doesn't mean that he cannot do.
So he can get a second chance.
Yes, if he can convince me from now before the May 2027 that he is a good person and he is doing this, we will all say yes. Why not? Because even if we elect a president today, nobody knows what he's going to do in reality until he sits on that seat.
Very true.
So the chairman is the same way. You can do a lot of things that we don't agree with, but when you come into that office, begin to show that you are fair, you are balanced, and you also are not having any special interest except the interest of Nigeria. And if you can do that, you will be a great chairman.
Barely 24 hours ago, on 19th of May 2026, we saw how former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, retired, presented his memoir, which, of course, highlighted a lot of things in terms of our trajectory as a nation, all of those pivotal turning points, as we would like to call them. The vice president was there representing his principal, the president, and he talked about how mentioned a particular instance in 2023 where suspicion had arisen that some people from his own state of Borno had come to the president and said, look, this outfit that your running mate is gifting you is going to put you in harm's way and so on and so forth. But he says, good enough, the president defied that advice and had to wear that outfit for 1 week straight, sending a message to these individuals that, look, there's no bad blood between my running mate and I. But today we know for a fact that's not the case, because you and I talked here a while ago about how that there had been the insinuation that President Tinubu will likely not run in 2027 with the vice president. We also are aware that the vice president has his own political clouds in the north, beyond Borno State and, of course, beyond the northeast. What are your sentiments in this regard?
Well, there are mischief makers always. And as leaders, you should know to discount. If someone comes and tell you the vice president wants to kill you, whatever, that's normal, because they have certain goals that they want to. The vice president wants to be president. Let's get that.
So we have to be clear.
Yes, there is no. If I'm vice president, I do want to be.
But is that an ambition he wants to pursue in 2027?
It doesn't mean I will eliminate the person on the seat. But
is that something he wants to pursue in 2027?
Exactly. So that's for him now to answer, because he is the one who knows that when you become a vice, eventually your goal is to move up to the next level. The governor wants to be a senator. The senator wants to be a governor. These are progressions that are natural and normal. So the president should not be afraid of his vice president because the vice president wants to be president. That's normal. What he needs to do is, okay, how are you, going to build that, goal of becoming president? Are you using it to make us better, or are you now going to, use it in a way that that will now harm me or destroy me or break my
or pose a threat to my legacy?
Or becomes a threat to me, then that's where the problem is. So, but they will just go straight from 0 to 100. He wants to kill you. There is no even middle ground. He's not going to spoil this. He's not going to. So that's nonsense. And the president knew that, and he called the vice president and said, hey, listen, your people are telling me that you're trying to do this. And they laughed over it, which is what should happen. Because they are leaders and they know that there's always going to be competition even between them.
Very true.
And that's natural and healthy. So there is nothing wrong that happens. Now, if you go past that, succession in our system does not exist. I can be your vice president for 8 years, and then when the time comes, you just go and select somebody else and make it. That's the way. Why?
Even when I'm eminently qualified.
Yes. Why do we do that? You have a deputy or vice for 8 years, And then when the time comes, you go and pull somebody else and put him in the seat. What happened to that person that was sitting with you for 8 years, having the same meetings, everything, always, and you don't trust him? So what is wrong with our system?
I want to quickly ask a question before we wrap this up. Let's talk about the youths. Okay. Do you think the youths are doing enough in order for their voice to be heard when it comes to political issues in democracy and, of course, in Nigeria? Quickly now, because of our time.
Youth are a critical aspect of our politics, and they are now majority in terms of social awareness and the information of our politics. But the engagement needs to be practical, and it needs to be more substantive. It's not just come and yell and rally and then go home. And right now, that's where they are. They are the rally group, they are the rally crowd, and they come every day that you are available. You are driving in the car, they are running behind you. That's not where we need to have them. We need to have them in offices,
forefront,
in hall fronts, forefront, making decisions. This is what we want. Can you do it? And they need to decide quickly. Yes, I can do it. Okay, you are our candidate. Right. No, I cannot do it. Then let them find somebody else. That's where our youth need to come into. But if just yelling and screaming and running after vehicles is not where we need our youth to.
Amazing. Engineer Habu Dauda, I would like to say a big thank you to you for these thoughts you have come to share with us.
Thank you.
This morning. Incidentally, that's how we bring it to an end here on the program. Today, we would like to say we're grateful for spending a part of your morning with us. Remember that the views of all of our guests across all of our programs are their opinions. I am Uyi Agumofwebe.
And I am Jumai Manzin. Thank you so much to our guests who made our time to be here.
Thank you.
Have an amazing day ahead. And from Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.